In this video, we shall be looking at sequence and we'll be considering missing numbers in a given sequence. The first thing we'll be considering is ascending sequence with common difference. Look at this sequence: 23, 26, 29. And then the major challenge is for us to figure out what the next two numbers in line will be. And so, how do we go about that? The first thing we'll do is for us to get the difference in the numbers given in our sequence. Okay, so you consider the consecutive numbers and you use them to get your difference. The difference could be common or varied. Okay, so let's look at this. These are the first two consecutive numbers, 23 and 26. So you subtract them for you to get your difference. 26 minus 23, and that gives you 3. Let's consider the next two consecutive numbers as well, 26 and 29. Let's subtract 29 minus 26, that gives us 3. So because we have the difference between 23 and 26 is 3, and the difference between 26 and 29 is 3. So we have common difference. Next thing to do is for you to consider the numbers. You see that the numbers in this sequence are actually increasing, okay, which means that the numbers are ascending. And so for you to get the next number when you have ascending numbers in a sequence like this, it's for you to add your common difference to the last number for you to get the number that is next in line. Okay, so let's add 3 to 29 and that gives us 32, right? So now for you, you put your 32 right here. And so for us to get the next number in line, we are going to add our common difference to 32. And that is going to be 32 plus 3. And that gives us 35. And so you could have more than 3 lines. So you continue in that manner. So next, let's look at descending sequence with common difference. Look at this sequence: 75, 73, 71. You can see the number keeps reducing. So this means that the numbers you have, or this sequence per se, is actually reducing because the numbers in this sequence are decreasing. Okay, they are descending. So we find the difference. Remember, you use the two consecutive numbers to find the difference. 75 minus 73, that gives 2. 73 minus 71, that also gives 2. So your difference is common. And because the numbers you have in this sequence are decreasing, so you take away your common difference from this last number for you to get the next number in line. So you have 71 minus 2, and that gives you 69. Right? For you to get the next number, you take away your common difference from 69, and that gives you 69 minus 2, and that gives 67. Okay, so the number could continue in that manner. So next, we are going to consider ascending sequence with varying difference. Okay, so let's look at this sequence: 63, 65, 68. So next thing to do is for us to get the difference and use the consecutive numbers. 65 minus 63, that gives 2. 68 minus 65, that gives 3. And when you look at this difference you have here, the differences are the numbers you have as your difference are varying. They are not the same, so they are not common. So we call this varying difference. It shows that if you have 2, then this is 3, so the next is going to be what? 4. Okay, and since these numbers you have in this sequence are increasing, so you are going to add the difference. 2, 3, the next is 4, so we are going to add 4 to this 68. That will be 68 plus 4, and that gives us 72. Now the first difference is 2 followed by 3 followed by 4. The next is going to be what? 5, and that will be 72 plus 5, and that gives you 77. And so 77 goes to the next number in line. Next, let's look at descending sequence with varying difference. All right, let's look at this sequence: 98, 93, 87. Now you can see the procedure, the numbers are decreasing. Okay, so the next is for us to get the difference. Okay, use the consecutive numbers: 98 minus 93. 93 minus 87, and that gives us 30. You can see the difference are not the same. So these differences are varying. And so we have 5, we have 6, the next will be what? 7, right? And because the numbers are decreasing, we are going to definitely take away 7 from this last number, and that will be 87 minus 7. And that gives us 80. So 80 is the next number in line. All right. So now for us to get the next one, we have 5, we have 6, we have 7. The next is going to be what? 8. And that will be 80 minus 8, which gives us 72. And 72 comes up right here. Okay. That is how to go about this. Now, the last one that I'm going to discuss with you is when you have sequence without consecutive numbers. Now, look at this sequence. 8, then we have dash, 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 and 20. So we have to fill in these three numbers between 8 and 20. And so you begin to wonder, what is going to be there? Right now, take a look at what I'm going to do. Now, I know that what I need to fix are the numbers between this 8 and 20. And so the first thing that I will do is for me to see this 8 and 20 as consecutive numbers. So I'll just see them as consecutive numbers, irrespective of the fact that they have space between them. So I'll just say the difference 28, I mean 20 minus 8, and that gives me 12. And so the next thing I will look at is that what are the numbers that I have? How many numbers do I have after this 8 before I get 20? So I'll count 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, so I will divide this 12 by 4. Okay, so I will say 12 divided by 4, and that gives me 3. So this 3 is actually the difference that I have between the numbers, right? So this 3, I'll add it to 8, and that gives me 11. So the next number here is 11. This 3, which is the difference between them, I'll add it to 11 as well. It gives me 14. So 14 comes here. 3 again, I add it to 14, and it gives me 17. And I have it like this. I hope you now know how to go about fixing the missing numbers in a given sequence. Thank you for watching. In this video, we shall be looking at sequence, and we'll be considering missing numbers in a given sequence. The first thing we'll be considering is ascending sequence with common difference. Look at this sequence: 23, 26, 29. And then the major challenge is for us to figure out what the next two numbers in line will be. And so, how do we go about that? The first thing we'll do is for us to get the difference in the numbers given in our sequence. Okay, so you consider the consecutive numbers and you use them to get your difference. The difference could be common or varied. Okay, so let's look at this. These are the first two consecutive numbers, 23 and 26. So you subtract them for you to get your difference. 26 minus 23, and that gives you 3. Let's consider the next two consecutive numbers as well, 26 and 29. Let's subtract. 29 minus